Know this. Introducing the original Blood Clot podcast, not players. Soothing semantic. Special dedication. All the way from New York. Boom. Yeah, man. SWOT semantic. Yeah, me know. Boom. Soothing semantic. Yeah, me know. Big ups to the man now. Soothing semantic.
On another episode of Soothing Semantics, I am your host, Rafi Pinsky. Today, we have my brother from another mother, my achi from another
Ima.
It's supposed to rhyme, but it doesn't rhyme. Stephen Kupchan, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, man?
How you doing? Thanks for having me, man. What a cool surprise.
It doesn't really... Dude, it's really good to have you, bro.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Watching your success and growth since we've met. You know, having our friend, shout out to Michael B, who was on your
Mikey
show
B,
as well.
baby.
No one's got to follow you. You got to earn that respect. Just because you have a stupid title, which is why I hate titles. Titles drive me nuts. As a matter of fact, in my company, we don't have real titles. Okay? We have fantasy titles. We have amazing names. We don't like titles because titles make people think that they have control over people when they don't. You want to have control in a positive way over your team? Serve them. Take care of them. Impact them. Help them. Show them who you are. Lead them. And if you do that first, they will follow you.
And before we even met, actually, I noticed that you had Michael Barayev on your show. So, you know, I appreciate being here. And I see all the success you've had since we met with the show and all the people that you've had and from all walks of life, from Canada, from locals.
A lot of Canadians lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Awesome.
Canadians lately. Yeah, bro, thank you. Listen, we have a long way to go, but it's not going to... It ain't going nowhere. I'm not stopping, so...
Number one is consistency, and
Yes,
that's what you're doing, and just stay persistent, you know. There's going to be speed bumps along the way and probably some flat curves, but you just got to keep going.
That's what it's all about, dude. Yeah, but
And never dry out the list of people coming on, you know. That's people want to see the exciting
oh, dude,
roster
it's been
that you have.
consistent ever since, man.
I know, it's awesome.
So, Steve Kupchan is a fellow realtor in Miami, well, in South Florida, so Broward, Miami, all those areas. Mm-hmm. And we talk all the time. We're very close. And we talk about our ups, our downs, and ultimately how much we enjoy the industry. You know, it's an industry that fits both of us very nicely. And definitely you have the floor now. Go into a bit of your story, and you can talk about your time in Israel. You can talk about your time you spent in Canada living there, and go into how you merged into real estate and, you know, where you're holding now. So
Yeah, awesome. So I was born in Israel. I moved to Canada early on, I would say, you know, around 6 years old. And I grew up in Toronto. Would I say I ever thought I would get into real estate? Never. I always thought of it as more like a average job. I didn't know the ups and downs. I didn't know anything about it really growing up. I knew of real estate agents because I always saw signs when I used to walk home from school, and, you know, for sale signs and sold signs. So I always saw the same, you know, 5-6 faces in my neighborhood. So I didn't really understand the value that these people were bringing to these sellers and buyers. So, you know, I've always been into sales growing up. I held many jobs, more retail, but I was always with customers face to face in my teens, and then I would get into sales in like at 18, 19 years old. My very first sales job was actually when I went away for college for a year. I used to sell, I used to work with Israeli guys at a kiosk selling these pouches that would keep your hands warm. So they're like salt pillows.
Yeah, we all
you
know
snap
those.
a coin.
When you go skiing, everyone uses those.
Yeah, you snap a coin. So I would sell them in the middle of the winter in Canada, and they're reusable, right? So it was awesome.
Like people, that's a product that everybody kind of needs. Like that's a pretty easy.
And it was easy sell, and it wasn't expensive. At the time in 2010, when I was selling it, it was like, for the little ones, $5 maybe, but you have these neck ones, these face masks, and I would upsell people like crazy. And then I realized my passion for sales. Like, I was very comfortable making hourly wage, and I didn't really have this like motivation to exceed my potential growing up, right? I was studying a little bit of political science, then I merged to hospitality business. So my dream was like, I love traveling and I've always loved traveling. So I wanted to do something where I could travel for free. But I didn't realize that I could just rather be very successful and just pay for any trip I want. Like that didn't click in my mind. So in 2016, after traveling 56 countries from age 18 to 23, I moved to South Florida. I came here, my parents owned a condo right even before I moved here. So I always knew that there's like a backbone for me if I ever need to stay somewhere. And I just really enjoyed the Florida lifestyle. It was a little bit different back then than it is now, like just the demographic. And I loved the whole Latin culture that kind of attracted me as well. And then I moved down here. And, while I was immigrating here, I did a few different jobs. I worked for this company that sold CBD products at a lot of events, like fitness events all around the country. So I got to visit most of the U.S. And then I did some wholesaling through the phone, more online. So we worked in like the Midwest, and that was kind of my first little dabbling in the real estate industry. But it wasn't really an agent. It was more like cold calling a list of people that have no idea what they want. Just ask them if they want to sell, or if they're interested in getting a cash offer. But it was like properties in the hood. It was like 20 to 60K value. It was just like really, really like low property values in like Ohio.
Crazy to think that these properties, about to sneeze. Crazy to think that these properties still exist. Well, not 20K, not here, but unless it's a mobile home, but 60K, I mean, you can still find those in like really bad areas.
Yeah, and you can still find them in like, I would say C plus areas in like Ohio or in Michigan. And then I worked in 2019. I met our mutual friend Michael B, and he just moved from New York. I met him on Yom Kippur actually, and he invited me to partner up with him in sales because he's been doing it for a long time in New York. And at the time, I had my real estate license, but I wasn't an active agent. I was just like a part-time agent. So I got my real estate license in January 2019. So then I met Mike in Yom Kippur 2019, whenever it was, like October.
He invited you for Plov, and the rest was history.
And yeah, we just became really good friends. He invited me to work with him. We did work from like October 2019 all the way to March 2020. I was working with Mike. Our dream was to like grow this sales company in South Florida, selling alarm systems, to grow a door-to-door sales team and direct sales team. COVID came, as you know, 2020, spring 2020, COVID came. They shut us down. I wrote a book. So I was huge into languages, which I still am. I'm fluent in multiple languages, 8. And I wrote a book in 2 languages, in English and Spanish, about how to learn languages during that COVID period where I didn't really have a job because I wasn't really working anymore. The government shut us down. We couldn't go door to door, so I kind of depleted my skills. I had a real estate license, which I wasn't using it. And I had to do something. I tried to kind of go the coaching route, but I knew it was a huge effort.
What kind of coaching? Life coaching?
No, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to find a niche of people that wanted
to fill you up?
Of course, always.
Silly question.
What I wanted to do...
You want to just pass me the cup?
Of course. Just so you guys know, we're drinking an Amarone della Valpolicella. It's a beautiful, full-body Italian red from Venice.
My uncle had a part to play in that creation. No, I'm kidding.
I know Rafi's part Italian, so I thought I would bring him something.
They're from the south, though. They're from Sardinia.
That's a good... They have good wine there as well.
I've never tried it, but...
Next time we meet, I'll bring you a canna now from Sardinia.
Oh, man. Talk dirty to me right now. Ooh.
So back to my story. Just after that, I had my license. I want to thank my mom for this. She actually connected me to one of her clients who own a condo. It was a small condo, renovated, but at the time it was $150K. Small 1-bedroom Hallandale. Got my first listing from word of mouth. And from then I kind of enjoyed it. The transaction with the buyer's agent and just the whole process of contract to close. I really enjoyed it. I made her happy. Although she broke even because she just really wanted to sell. She was a motivated seller. I got a almost full price contract within 3 days of putting on the market. I just thought, take it and run. Could I have got more or full price? Probably, but amateur agent at the time. This was October 2020. So a year and a half ago. And then full throttle, man, since then. Kind of like learning the ropes. And then January 1st, I had my first buyer and my second listing. So that's it. And we're here, man, just kind of climbing every month, getting better and better, loving the industry.
It's such a learning. There's never something you can't learn. I mean, you can say that it's like that in any industry, but with real estate, since it's commission-based, every day you're adding more to your arsenal.
That's awesome, of course. And I see a lot of young guns. Like, I would say I'm doing pretty well for like my start of my second full year in business. And I'm learning as I'm earning, it rhymes for a reason. And I see people that are maybe 20 years older than me who have been in the business for many years. And I'm not criticizing them, but I'm just seeing that I've kind of caught up to a certain threshold of the community that I'm working with and the certain price point. I see I'm going up and up all the time, I've definitely dabbled in the seven figures, but it's more like in the beginning I was selling condos and houses that like in the 300-400s. Now I'm like north of 500. Every deal I'm under contract, except one here in Aventura, is over 500. So, and as prices continue to rise and go up and the market continues to be bullish, we're going to see more increase of prices, and it's a beauty. We get paid proportionate to how much value we add to these people, right? So if it's like a house that's been on the market for so long and there's 15 bidders, what kind of effort did you really put to bring this person this deal? Could they have done it without you? For sure. But then you build that loyalty with your buyer or your seller for them to stick around and kind of go with you. So there's, like you said, there's a lot to learn. Sky's the limit, and I love the business. Learning how to prospect every day, finding a way to build my business and kind of leverage a lot of the stuff that I'm currently doing to give to someone else so I can focus on income producing activities, right? I want to bring in business.
Yeah.
So I want to do, 80% bring in business, 20% babysit the buyers or sellers that I'm currently here, right? Obviously who said that. So that's it.
Are you talking about Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he talks about income servicing versus income producing. I mean, income servicing is all the paperwork, all the, handling phone calls, all the things that aren't really making you money. They're part of the process. They're required to closing a transaction, but they're not the things that we're built for, right? We're salesmen. We want to be the ones negotiating, talking, meeting, shaking hands, closing. That's what we want to do, not sitting there at a desk writing things and sending things into DocuSign. That's not why we're doing what we're doing, right?
Exactly.
And that's not the primary part of the business. So if we can delegate that and focus on the income producing activities, which is plan, and I have to remember what the acronym for plan is because he talks about it all the time. Appointments, negotiation, I'm pretty sure is A&N.
I'm sure. Prospect list. I don't know.
Prospecting is definitely the first one. Lead generation or lead follow-up is probably the second one, I think, but I forget, or one of those. But anyway, I'll remember it.
Well, you work for Keller Williams. I actually read the.
By the way, I hate saying, and I never say for. I always say with.
It's correct because you don't really work. He doesn't even know who you are.
Right. So that's why I I always use the term I work with them. You can argue it.
Yeah, you don't work.
Because I'm an independent contractor, so.
Of course. So you work with, you're an agent with Keller Williams. And I know in the book, The Millionaire Agent, one of the things, my biggest takeaways is, having continuous leads, continuous listings, and continuous leverage. The 3 L's are what really separates an average real estate agent from a multi-millionaire real estate agent.
Leads, and leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm focusing on. Like especially in a market like this, you want to be on the listing side, especially now. And
I agree with you, and I tell my
everybody-
buyers all the time. I'm like, listen, this is the market. I had a guy an hour ago complaining about the market to me on the phone. I'm like, sir, you don't live in a much different market. In fact, it's crazier. I had a guy from Canada call me and said, the units you just sent me were about 100K less a year ago. I'm like, exactly, a year ago.
Yeah,
I had told his wife that the units are much more expensive and they're going to keep going up. And it's not only about the price, it's the scarcity. It's very obvious that supply and demand have a big factor.
Don't you guys say scarce in Canada?
Yeah.
It's weird. I heard that some other Canadian said that. So you guys say scarcity? Mm-hmm. That's why you changed it. I heard you you switched it right away.
Yeah.
Scarcity. Okay. It's also good that you understand since you're in America now, you switch it over.
Well, I've been here for 6 years. I'm an American citizen, right? Sometimes I say now things that are more American.
Yeah,
the biggest thing is A. I've never really said it.
You don't say A. You also don't say a boat.
No, I mean those are like particular parts of Canada. Toronto is like I would say it's a very Americanized part of Canada. Mm-hmm. Like if I put you in the middle of Toronto and you look around, you may think you're in Chicago, you may think you're in parts of New York. It's just very similar, and it's a very multicultural city. So I don't really speak like a super Canadian person. Maybe it's because of all the languages I know and all the places I've been. So I'm very I try to speak as neutral as possible.
Yeah, dude, 100%. But it's amazing that you're so language focused. I mean, you have a massive advantage, and you've earned it. So that's incredible, bro.
Of course, shout out to the Latin community and the Israeli community and the Russian community and whatever. Brazilians. I deal with a lot of Brazilians recently, and they don't really want to learn English, and why not, right? If I can talk to them in Portuguese, by all means, I'll take.
So you didn't know Portuguese for shit, and you completely learned it on your own?
Yeah, there's not a language I've ever taken a class for. Like I've taken tutoring for Spanish to be fluent, but I was already at an intermediate level. I just took I took advanced tutoring to master my accent and master my grammar. Like I can literally speak Spanish like a person who lives in Spain or whatever. I'm very confident.
But how did you learn some of these languages? What do you do to mainly learn them?
So you should read my book, but I'll kind of give you a summary about it.
And what's the book, by the way? Tell everybody what the book is.
So my book is called Fluent for Success. It's the name of the company that I opened up to coach people. The book's called How to Learn Any Language in 6 Months or Less. If you type my name on Amazon, you can kind of see it. If you reach out to Rafi, send you guys a PDF version.
I will gladly share it. Absolutely, bro.
Of course, if you guys are interested in learning languages and how I learned 8 languages in 6 months or less per language, at least to a advanced beginner or intermediate level. I'm not saying I was fluent like university level within 6 months, but I was very, very conversational within those 6 months. So I actually learned Italian before Portuguese. That was my very first success that I noticed that like a human, if they're consistent and they're not lazy and they know what they want and they really, really put effort, like anyone could learn languages. Obviously, the younger you are, the better. Your brain's like a sponge. So my secret was to work on the 4 aspects of language learning. So it was auditory, so listening, a lot of listening. I would put on like music or YouTube videos or movies. Just listen. I don't need to understand anything. I just wanted to train my brain to hear all the tones in these languages and all the pronunciations. Then I would, speak. So just speak. Then I would read. And then I would write.
You don't have people to speak it to? Like, isn't that a key to learning a language?
Of course, but what year are we in? 2022?
Okay.
There's so many sites where you can meet native speakers and just have Zoom or Skype conversations with them.
So you literally just met a random person. You met Giuseppe from Italy and you just have a conversation with them?
Yeah, so I actually worked with Italians for 6 months that spoke 0 English. So what did I do? I already knew Spanish and French, the same language family. I just sat down every morning, 6 to 9. I would spend time YouTube and grammar learning, just listening to Italians all day. Kind of got me to the fluency that I wanted to.
It's amazing. That's a humongous advantage you have as a realtor. Like, it's a humongous advantage because you have all of the languages in this state, in this city that are spoken. You have them all. So for me, Hebrew and English is all I have. So when it comes to Spanish, if I cold call Spanish clients, I'm fucked. I don't speak their language. So of course I can refer them to Spanish speakers, but I want to at least know what they want, right? If at least I know their motivation. That's enough to say, okay, well, let me transfer them over to somebody. But I can't even get past the basics. So like Spanish is something I need to at least get a decent hold of because I'm missing out on a lot of people. Like, yeah.
I always tell everyone, people, I tell everyone moving to Florida, like, if you can get a beginner's or an intermediate knowledge of Spanish, it's going to go far, whatever business you're in. If you're in real estate, mortgages, insurance, you're a nurse, you're a Botox injector, you're a carpenter, like, it doesn't matter. You need to know Spanish in the city because the people usually you're going to circle around with are going to be Spanish speakers, right? Like, I have great contractors. They're Argentinians. They speak English, but we communicate all day in Spanish. These guys do amazing work for me, for the properties. The house I'm living in, I'm just closing another one March 1st. So these guys are doing projects for me, and I can refer them out. We rapport. They're not overcharging me because I've built a friendship with them, as most contractors trying to make a few dollars on.
When you say you're closing on when you're buying another house?
Yeah, March 1st.
You were renting it out. What are you doing with it?
One we're going to rent out. The other one will be for the family, for my parents, and then I'm going to buy another one for myself, and just like a primary somewhere. I know the market's high, but I do believe that it's going to go higher, and I think we are in an unprecedented time in
the
this.
Buffett method, dude. You buy when everyone else is scared. I mean, that's what he's saying. Like, when everyone's greedy, he says it's a bad time to buy. When everyone's nervous, it's a great time to buy. Although there are plenty of people buying now, there are many people not buying, right?
Yeah, people are waiting for this magical like, I've heard,
this
honestly,
imaginary market to dip, and like, who the hell knows what's going to happen? The likelihood is we're still living in the COVID world. We don't feel it in Miami at all, but outside of Miami and other states, it's still very strong. You go to California, it's still very masked up. So I was just there recently. So in places like that, people are looking to get the hell out of there. So as long as they continue these restrictions, if Trudeau in Canada still pulls his crap and they still have all these restrictions, you're going to keep seeing people keep seeing people moving.
Yeah, I see it all the time. I see people that want to get out, like Europeans, South Americans, Canadians, other Americans from, the states such as California, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. A lot of restrictions, right? So we're grateful here, It's a win-lose situation because we have a lot of business, but we also just kind of like inflated our prices where the locals are not used to it. And they're like, the people that are complaining are not people that are really coming here. It's the people that live here already.
Oh, it's the people.
When you were paying for $1,500 a month for a one-bedroom in this neighborhood, and all of a sudden your landlord charges
$2,200, pretty much, like,
or not even $2,600. I have a friend who was paying $2,600 a month. Now his landlord's asking for $4,000.
And he can.
We don't have restrictions here for.
People will pay it, dude.
Yeah.
People will pay it. It's crazy.
Location.
See, this is where you need to have perspective, because this is all about mindset. So the people who don't have the money, of course, are freaking out, right? But there are people, unfortunately, who are likely going to have to move to other parts of Florida, or to just lower income parts of South Florida, which is becoming less and less of a thing. This is where, as a young entrepreneur like you and me, we have to focus more on making more money. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
We can't look at the market and say, "Oh, well, let's
raise
go
your
to
budget."
Pensacola.
Yeah.
Like, I need to hustle more and make more money because I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here.
Of course.
Like, this is a blessing. As a realtor, this is a blessing for us. So we need to work with that and utilize that. But of course, yeah, some people have it difficult. Listen, they have a bunch of kids. They can't leave their job. They're worried, whatever it is. I mean, that's capitalism 101, man. What are you going to do,
Raise your standards, raise your hustle, man. Raise your income.
So what do you advise for new agents that are, say, a lot more on the buyer's side? Okay, because you've had a nice amount of buyers.
Yes.
What do you suggest in a market like this in order to get your offers accepted, in order to make sure that you make your buyers happy? What are some great buyer tips that you suggest?
So,
And what do you even suggest? You can also give advice to buyers themselves.
of course. So, if you're trying to buy, or if you're a buyer's agent, or you're working with buyers in this kind of market, you have to educate your buyers, or just ask your realtors to educate you on where we are, like market research, what kind of price points are selling around that. It's very important to know not only like the price of the property, but the price per square foot. And then, okay, if it's selling for $350, for example, per square foot, I'm just throwing out numbers. Is that for a renovated property or a property that needs renovation? So kind of have someone who knows the scope of why certain things are listed for certain prices. Is that person trying to milk the market, or are they trying to do a bidding war? So you have to have an agent who understands not only the neighborhoods, but the attitude of the seller's agent. Like, it's great to know them. Listen, thank God I work for an awesome company, Compass. Shout out to Compass. We have awesome network of people from all over the country. Started in New York, where we have a huge presence here in South Florida. They've been expanding extremely, taking market, control and a lot of the market share, not only in luxury, but also in like the mid condo prices. So, not only like Aventura, Miami Beach, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, they just opened an office in Weston and Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach area. So there's offices everywhere. So it's good to have that Compass connection. So if you know people in your brokerage, or if you have friends, like if you had a listing, Rafi, like I would call you right away. So like, listen, I have a buyer for you. Let's try to do a deal, Mm-hmm. And because we have a rapport, you're more likely to kind of like push my offer through, right? Or at least let me know what the highest offer is.
Dude.
So it's kind of important, for me to, as a buyer's agent, to really know who these listing agents are in these neighborhoods, who has the most amount of market share.
This is incredible advice. Yeah, you want to always get to know the big fish. That's why this podcast is so powerful, even though it's in the early stages. When it gets into the bigger stages, I mean, dude, for referrals and connections, this is everything. Because let's say you have a buyer and you're looking for something off market, and you have a personal relationship with 30 of the biggest realtors here in South Florida, DM them, send them a text message, say, hey, do you know of anything off market? But if you don't know these people and they won't give you the time of day, that could be the difference between you getting a deal done and not getting a deal done. And that's a huge power you have. So if a buyer or a seller asks, what can you bring to the table? Generally, the buyers don't ask that as much as the sellers who do, because the sellers have tons of realtors that are competing for their business, right? Until you really build that connection where you're their agent. When you're trying to first get to know them and work with them, you need to bring something else to the table aside from just putting it on the MLS. That's not enough. Everyone can do that.
Of course.
So when they ask you that, and you have a network of like-minded agents who are in that price range, who can make it happen. If I have a listing for $3 million and I know that you likely have a buyer for that, and I can just connect with you, give you a call and be like, hey man, do you have any buyers for this property? And you say, yeah, bro, I have 3 buyers that are looking for something just like this. Boom, we have something going. But there's a lot of agents that don't leverage these things. So that kind of ties into technology. Like, we don't have to go too far down a rabbit hole, but although it's relevant, I mean, like, we live in this age, man. So like, a lot of these much older agents who are either very bad at technology or just don't want to get into it because it's not their thing, it sucks for them because they're missing out, dude. Like, the older agents who can kind of find a love for technology, they're the ones who are going to continue to be competitive versus the newer people, the younger people.
For sure. Yeah. Technology is important, right? It's not only about, like you said, just putting a property on the MLS and just letting it ride. In this market listing, you'll get away with it, but it's also important to market. Like, send out postcards. If you have an open house, go and knock on some doors. Get to know the neighbors. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll get you sell 1, 2, 3 Golden Way, then you're gonna get 1, 2, 3, 5 Golden Way because the neighbor, there's Rafi just sold something on my street for 425 or 445. I thought my property was 400. I'm gonna go with Rafi. I'm gonna list with this guy. This guy's a beast, So don't be afraid to spend some money on Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever. Send some postcards or maybe, spend 30, 40 minutes, walk around the neighborhood.
Yeah, man, I door knocked in the rain with a new realtor from the office. Shout out to Brooke Holbrook. We went around in the rain a couple of days before the open house. And we just walked around the neighborhood, handing out flyers, knocking on doors, making sure the neighborhood got the notice. And whether a lot of them actually showed up or not, because I know most of the people showed up with realtors, they have my flyer, they have my number, they have my email, they know the property is selling. I'm putting a rider, the riders on the signs, the little attachment. So I just ordered a bunch. I'm waiting for the clips to attach the rider to the actual sign. It's
under contract, pending for sale.
Exactly.
Sold,
So this way, it's coming tomorrow night. As soon as it comes, I'm going to drive to the house. I'm going to put the under contract sign up. So this way, people driving by see it's under contract. And then once it closes, I have another one for closed that I'm going to leave up there for a good week or two. Just so I'm just going to leave the sign there and a little bit after it's already closed. This way, people can see that the job got done.
Yeah, of course, it's important.
Yeah, and I also got solar lights for the sign, so at night it's still lit up. People driving by don't see like a completely dark sign; they can actually see it.
It's amazing, good.
I don't have to,
these little investments go a long way, man.
No batteries, no plug-in. The sun powers it at night. It automatically.
Shout
turns
out
on.
to Nova Energy,
right?
The sun guys,
Is
solar
that Mike?
guys. Yeah,
Dude.
Mike and Yossi. Remember Yossi?
Mm-hmm.
This guy's doing well.
Yossi and that beard. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm proud of him. I'm glad he didn't end up doing any terrorist attacks. Everyone's like, "What do you mean? I don't understand." He's a very dark Israeli man, and he looks like he would get stopped at TSA. That's why it's very.
Take care of me a little?
That's why us Jews are so unstoppable, because we have people from all different backgrounds. So we just blend right in. Oh, my bad, bro. I'm sorry.
Can't reach it. I would do it.
Let me get that cup, homie.
Of course.
And just bring it over here.
You ever crack a nice bottle of wine with some of your clients?
I mean, I don't like to crack it because if I crack it, all the wine will spill out.
Pun intended.
Yeah, but I definitely have. I try to do l'chaims with the Yidden, with the Jews.
Yeah.
And I do cheers. I always for sure. Nice to have a drink with the closings.
Of course. I actually had a closing today. Good, nice.
Congrats,
Speaking
bro.
of Hollywood,
Congrats.
Hollywood Hills, great area, growing.
Mm-hmm.
We got it a little bit under market value. It does need a little bit of TLC, so once the buyers...
Tender love and Kupchan.
Yeah.
TLK.
And, buyer will be happy. Great neighborhood. It's a good time to buy, I think, always. Right? You can't time the market. We don't have a crystal ball as real estate professionals. Can there be a dip down the road in the next, 3 years? Possibly, right?
You know that chair rocks, by the way, right?
Of course, I know.
It's nice.
Fall
It's a good
asleep right
addition.
now.
It's a good addition, yeah. It also helps that you're a good-looking guy. It doesn't hurt you. Imagine you were an ugly guy. It'd be hard. It'd be harder,
I would cold call more than... I would do business to the phone.
That's what I'm doing. We're trying. Listen, not everybody's a stud muffin like you, Steve. But
no, I really respect you. One thing, guys, I want to tell you about Rafi, he's super consistent with his prospecting. So I know he from 9 to 12, the guys, frankly, all day are in the office, but I know at least from 9 to 12, you are just focused on bringing in new listings and contacting expireds, for sale by owners, circle prospecting, whatever, Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great thing and I do it as well. Am I consistent like because I'm super busy with buyers, but right now I hired someone to help me at least get some weight off the shoulders with some of my business, where I don't have to deal with paperwork and following up, make sure his loan's approved, and like just little things that who cares if it's me or someone else who does it.
100%.
You still have my attention. You're still my client. I'm still overseeing the operations.
It looks much better to have somebody handling these things. It looks very professional when you have somebody else in the mix than just you alone. It says something. It sends a very clear message that you're a busy person and you have an organized business. I think it's a very good thing. As long as the client feels that they can connect with you if they need to, and that there isn't a wall put in front of them that they have to contact this assistant and they can never get through to you, that's a big turnoff, I think. But so long as, paperwork, as long as the person's competent, that you hired is competent and they're getting the job done, but if your client wants to give you a call and just speak to you directly, they can. I think that's the most important thing.
For sure. Always, my clients, I have clients that message me at 11 p.m. And I have clients at 5:30 in the morning. So I'm always available. I just want to make sure that someone could handle some of the situations because I'm obviously trying to bring on new business, but I'm also trying to give good customer service. So how do I give awesome customer service? I can't be in two places at the same time. But what I can do is I could hire and train and kind of show off show the other person my personality, my executive assistant.
Yeah, bro, 100%. So I'm more listing focused. Of course, everyone wants to be listing focused. I do obviously I'm working on more and more buyers as the day goes. I'm getting more and more business. But the difficulty with buyers. The difficulty with buyers is there's a very little inventory, and the difference between a good buyer and a not such a good buyer is the motivation and financial ability to buy a property. It's like some of them have the financial ability but aren't willing to play the game. But when you have a buyer that's strong financially and they're willing to play ball, your time is a lot better spent. There's a much higher likelihood that everything will go through versus a buyer who may want to do something but they're not realistic. So
yeah, that's the first thing I tell my assistant. I'm like, ask them the question, like, how motivated are you to buy? Like, if I find you a property that you love tomorrow, you ready to pull the trigger? As salesmen, we have to ask a lot of questions. Like, we're just so used to just being like brokers. No, we're salespeople, right? Once that lead comes through you, your job until you die, until they say, I'm not fucking interested or stop bothering me, propose everything to them, Pre-construction, condos, single family, townhomes, Broward, Miami-Dade, Miami Beach, Brickell, like whatever you got to propose to them, give them everything until they say I'm not interested. Because if someone has a little bit of interest, but they're not like 100%, you got to find what's holding them back. There's always some sort of like, I'm interested, but I'm only going to file my taxes in March, and then I'm gonna pre-approve. I'm like, okay, you put them in your database that they're ready in 6 months. But there's people that are like we mentioned earlier, like they're ready, they have the money, but their motivation is maybe 2 out of 10 because they're deal shopping, right? Deal shopping, go on Groupon.
That's it. That's another thing also. People will use a realtor to window shop, and they know it going into it. And as a realtor, there's another very important thing about interpersonal relationships is, of course, you want to look after the other person's best interest and you want to do right by them, but you also have to understand when to put your foot down and say no. When you clearly know your time is being wasted and there's nothing, like they might be benefiting by looking around, you have to look after yourself. I mean, you have to learn how to say no at times. There's a cordial way to do it. There's a nice way to do it, but I mean, if you don't know how to put your priorities in a row, your ducks in a pond, you're going to be sitting there wasting enormous amounts of time making minuscule amounts of money. So it's very important as a person to know when you're being played with, when you need to focus your time on the right people. And it could be this is the right person, but it's not the right time. So it's important to make that very clear. And at the end of the day, the person will respect you more for it and see that your time is valuable.
Of course.
So it's very important to set your expectations. And in Keller Williams, Gary Keller teaches a very great concept. That's you teach people how to treat you, right? That's what respect is. You teach people how to treat you. Even good people will sometimes take advantage, either knowingly or unknowingly, because they see that they can, right? So you need to set those boundaries. It's very important in a business like sales.
Yeah,
It's important in any business, but especially in a business where you don't make money unless something closes. You need to really think about how you're spending your time. It's such an important thing. And I, listen, you and I are both on the newer side. You know, thank God we've been doing this for quite some time now, but we're in the grand scheme of things, we're still pretty young. This is more than ever the earlier years of business, or the times where we're really building ourselves. We're filling up the pool of business. So like this is where we really need to make sure that we're doing things properly. I mean, always, even 15 years down the line, and God willing, very much earlier than that, we won't have to be doing any of these phone calls. But yeah, I mean, this is prime time. Like this is when we really have to focus on what we do with every minute, you know?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's probably the first time or the first kind of period of my career that I'm not really neglecting clients, but I'm not really focusing so much on certain business because I'm so busy in other aspects. Like rentals, you know, my system will do them, or like minimal, quick, small deals. Not that I think I'm too good for it. I just have certain priorities, and I don't want to neglect
You're setting a standard
customers.
for yourself, brother. You're setting a standard for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. If your average sales price is $10 million, if most of the properties you sell are $10 million, and a client comes and wants a $500,000 property, of course it's worth helping them. But if you have somebody that works with you, you hired an assistant, or you have a younger agent that's learning from you, give them the client. Let them handle the client. If the client is adamant on you working with them, not a problem. Be part of the process, but allow that agent to do a lot of the work. That agent's benefiting, you're benefiting. It's a win-win for everybody, and that's the end of it.
Totally.
Right? And at the end of the day, I mean, you worked your way up to earn that business. There's a reason why your average sales are $10 million. You earn that, right? So I think that's just the name of the game. That's how you grow. I mean, the beauty of this business is like the people at the top, the realtors that are levels above us, they have clients running and begging to work with them, right?
Yeah.
So now you and I are in a stage where we really want to lead generate and look for clients, and there are agents in our market who, quite frankly, clients would love to work with them. Can you imagine that kind of? And of course you have people who are happy to work with you. They hear about you, they're referred to you, they hear good things about you. But when you have sold hundreds or thousands of properties, and many of them are luxury properties, and you've built a name, you have a reputation, a powerful reputation. I mean, people are calling you left and right, and can you list my $15 million house? We would love to work with you. And you know you're making ass loads of money, right? But the better part of making the money is that you earned the predicament, right? Like you're now in a position where these luxury clients are coming to you, right? And that's a beautiful place to be, man, because like you're at the point where you're still a salesperson, but you've gone beyond. Like you're just at a different level.
Luxury is luxury. Will always be, right? Are you hard selling a Corolla to someone, or are you gonna have a guy who's interested in buying a Rolls Royce come to you and just make it so elegant, and the whole process is nice, and glass of champagne, and what color seats do you want? It's like that. You give white glove service, but if you can learn to give white glove service and be
I love what you're about to say. Go on.
A very, very good agent from the lower price points, imagine what you can do when you do hit 7 or 8 figures.
That's what a guy, Daniel, you know Daniel Tsinker?
Yes.
That's what he spoke about, actually. He said that because I was like talking to him about trying to get a listing and co-listing it with him because it was like a big listing. I didn't end up getting it. I just didn't get it, unfortunately. But I wanted to co-list with him because I know he has experience with condos like in that price point. Don't be hurt. I see it on your face.
Never heard.
I'm kidding. But he does a lot of these like $6, $7, $8, $9 million deals. And, he knows that market, he knows the area, so I wanted to work with him. And he said, listen, man, I mean, it's not going to happen right away, because I told him I didn't get it. He said, it's not going to happen right away, but just give that service no matter the price point. Just work on selling the properties that you get. And eventually you'll build yourself to that point. Like, don't try to jump too much. And at the end, it's not about jumping. I mean, if I have an opportunity, of course, I'll take it. But there's a process. Like, life has a process. Of course, when you're in the game and you're consistent and persistent, there's going to be an element of luck, right? Like, if I stay at home all day and there's $100 on the floor outside, if I go outside and I find the $100, is it luck? Yeah, it's
law
luck.
of average.
Right. Exactly. That's it. So, just to elaborate on that, I mean, if I'm out there, I'm much more likely to grab that opportunity. It doesn't mean that there isn't an element of luck involved or good fortune, but luck favors the bold, right? Luck favors the tenacious. If I'm out there and I'm going after it, it's a lot more likely to come to me.
Yeah.
I might fuck up, I might get no's 50 times, but at some point, something's got to give.
Yeah, the guy who's sitting on his couch who makes 0 calls. The day I make 0 calls, the day you make 40 calls, you're always going to have a better chance of getting a listing than I am.
Right.
And I always know it. Every morning, every day I don't make any calls is the day the guy who was making calls looking for expireds or, whatever kind of way he's prospecting. Even if you buy a list from a guy from Pakistan of 1,000 absentee owners, that's still an opportunity for you to find some little gold nugget, right?
Yeah, man, I'm hunting. I mean, like, dude, it sounds cheesy, but like I posted this line on my story the other day, and I relate a lot to like certain animals in the animal kingdom, like, because I look at how humans are just intelligent animals, and I just think about we're salespeople, like we're hunters.
Everything
man.
is a sale, and everything you want is a
man.
commission.
Like, I mean, I'll go off on a caveat in a second, but we're hunting for business, man, and people may take that the wrong way and say, oh, you're hunting, you're just trying to get money and clothes and do all that. At the end of the day, everyone's trying to succeed in life. I mean, well, not everyone's actually trying, but we all want to, right? But there are certain people like you and I who are actually actively trying. So, Aaron Novello, shout out to you. He gave a very good example of why selling does not have to be it doesn't have to have a negative connotation, right? Because selling is persuasion, and persuasion has a negative connotation. When you think of persuading someone, right, you think of kind of conning them or getting them to do what you want. But when you're selling something, you are, in a sense, getting someone to do what you want. When you're befriending somebody, you're getting them to like you, right? But the beauty of it is, once you're true to yourself, you don't have to force anybody to do anything. When I'm myself, I don't give a fuck if somebody likes me or they don't. Of course, I'd like people to like me. If nobody liked me, there'd be a problem, right? There's something I have to fucking look at internally and wonder why nobody likes me. But the irony is, when you don't give as much of a fuck, that's when people like you, right? When you have a normal understanding of human beings, people like you. Like, you're a decent person, you go after what you want, you have good human qualities, people will like you. It's not that complicated, but that takes skill like anything else. But when it comes to selling, he gave an example of a restaurant, right? If you go to a bomb restaurant, or even this wine, right? You love the wine. You will not stop raving about the wine because you love the wine. Are you selling me this wine? Yes, you are. You're convincing me that this wine, you're persuading me that this wine is a great wine. Are you doing something bad to me? No, not at all. You're simply in love with this wine, and you want to share that love with me. You want me to know how good it is. So it's the same concept. If you're selling a product that is very, very beneficial, if it's good for the client, you have a house that the client wants, yeah, you're going to sell that house. Like, more likely than not, you don't even have to do any kind of selling. The house will sell itself. But yeah, you want to show the client how valuable it is, right? So you're persuading the client, of course, but at the end of the day, you know that it's a valuable asset, it's a valuable investment, it's a valuable sale, versus selling some, I don't know, fake designer crap that, like, yeah, I mean, they might buy it, but you have to really sit there and come up with reasons why it's valuable, when in the back of your mind, you wouldn't buy it yourself, right?
Yeah, of course.
And like, it's just a different world when you can offer something. Does it mean that every house your buyers buy, you would buy? No. But at the end of the day, you know that for what their needs are, for what they're looking to accomplish, it's a good idea. And that's the beauty of it. That's why, like, I'm glad that I got into this business, because I believe in what I'm selling. And that's what makes it like such a beauty to do, because you can actually do well by people and make great money in the process.
And one thing is,
I can't drop the mic because it's attached to the boom arm, but either way.
A lot of what I've noticed is like there's a lot of shady realtors out there, and there's a lot, and maybe they're just chasing the paycheck. But from the bottom of my heart, like if I don't feel like the decision is a valuable decision, where I know that our relationship will be there for a long time, if I'm honest and straightforward with my client, I would let them know. I'm like, listen, I know you like this property, but there A, B, C why you should not buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from a professional standpoint, a lot of real estate transactions are emotional, right? Like I would say the end users, they're very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love this view from this water view from this balcony, or I love this kitchen, or I love this flooring, or the garage isn't big, whatever. Those are emotional decisions, right? But when you have these like multifamily buyers or like these Airbnb investors, they're very logical. Oh, my cap rate is off by 0.5. I'm not going to make the purchase. But then when the market, like I had guys that were complaining about 6-7 cap a year ago. Well, now we're struggling to get 4 cap. Where all these, these guys that were complaining, where are we now? Mm-hmm. So everyone's like in this la-la land. So you either have really emotional buyers who are, until certain emotions are not triggered, they're not going to make a decision. Or you have certain logical buyers if the math doesn't add up, or like the price per door or whatever, if you're dealing with multifamily, or I don't know, if the guy's principal interest, taxes and insurance is higher than what his rent would be, like it doesn't make sense to buy, which is, fair enough. At the end of the day, even if it's an emotional purchase, it's still an investment, right? So as long as you cross your T's and dot your I's, your client should be very happy with you. And I hope, as a real estate professional, I hope when you represent this industry, you do it for your client, not because you have this magical like 3% coming in. I mean, I'll be honest. In the beginning, I've always like pre-calculated my commissions.
I'm not going to be a child. I'm not going to be a child and make that comment. It's fine. Go on. So I love this podcast. It's a great podcast. Of
course, if you have a guy, if you put an offer on a $1 million property, you already know you're gonna gross the $30K, whatever broker fee you have, you're gonna take home, right?
Mm-hmm.
But until you're like really past the inspection period, and your client is, his loan is gonna be approved or whatever, or if it's cash. You don't really want to calculate that, because then you're telling yourself, Steven, I'm only worried about what kind of money this will bring me, not the relationship I have. Like if I know that, let's say you're a buyer, for example, if I know that one of the routes is like, okay, I can make 3% commission from you, but I'll never deal with you again, or if I can make 2 to 2.5. But I'll know that I'm gonna have 3, 4, 5 more transactions with you along the route. Like it's a no-brainer.
2.5. It's about like if you sell a house to somebody that you know is a bad idea, and you knowingly avoid telling them something, and they end up unhappy with the result, you'll never get a referral from them.
Ever.
Aside from not getting a referral, you're simply just fucking somebody over. Okay, but some people don't care about that. But if you want to think of it even from a selfish standpoint, even if you only care about the money, even then do the right thing, right? You should do the right thing just for the principle of doing the right thing. But either way, if you think in the short term, it's going to bite you in the ass.
Always.
Do the right thing. Find them a property that they're actually going to be happy with, so they can refer you and you can make more money. That's the problem with certain realtors in this industry. Unfortunately, you have people in all businesses that think this way. I think it comes from I'm not really sure why it happens. I think for some people, they just see an opportunity and they just want to take it, and they don't really care about what happens in the future. And I think that's a very problematic mindset. Like you have to always be future thinking.
Yeah, because people, like
always have to be future thinking.
When I have an attorney or an accountant, like it's very easy to trust them because they're kind of authority in that. We're seen as authority figures, in retrospect in our industry. So it's very easy for us to say, you know what, Joey, this is a great buy. Don't worry, buy it. Obviously, most people, as prices go up, they're very intelligent, right? If a guy's budget is $2 million, he's a successful person. Unless he inherited a shitload of money, he's an idiot. But they're more or less successful and smart, intelligent people. So you don't need to, kind of convince them on why it's a good or bad decision. They'll know themselves. Like, I want to buy at the Porsche Tower, or I want to buy, a house in Miami
They'll
Beach.
usually know much better than the average person, but they still won't necessarily know exactly what they're getting themselves into. They're still hiring you for a reason.
Exactly.
It might be to just because they're wealthy and don't want to spend the time looking, so they hire you to be that guy. But they're not going to necessarily know everything that's going on. There are plenty of wealthy people that make bad decisions. There are plenty of wealthy people that get screwed over. Just because they're wealthy doesn't mean they know everything. So they're still relying on you. They're trusting you that you're going to have their best interest in mind. And like that's, if anything, in the wealthier community, in their wealthier client sphere, you need to be all the more conscious of that. You should be conscious at every price point, but you should be all the more conscious, because if you are not, then you're missing out on all of his or her friends and partners and family members who may be in that price point or higher. So yeah, man, that's a huge takeaway. You always have to be future thinking, have the client's best interest, always have the client's best interest. If you have to lose some money on the deal, do it. If that's what's going to make them happy and make it work, fine. Obviously it's all situational. There's no one rule, but if I'm making $30,000 on a transaction and the only way for it to work, and I know my client loves the property, is to give up $5,000, I'm giving up $5,000. If that's what's going to make it work, so be it. Like $5,000, okay, $5,000 is a decent amount of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's babyish thinking to focus on $5,000 when a client is putting me in a position or predicament to make $25K, and then going forward, who knows what they're gonna send my way. It's a silly 100%. Mindset, right? So that's what I think.
You know what else grinds my gears?
Yeah, what else grinds your gears?
When there's realtors that list their grandma's house, their friend's house, like they have zero qualifications. I don't think
they brag about it, and they brag about it.
No, they don't. Okay. They frankly don't know what they're doing. The only reason they have this listing is because they have a personal relationship to the owner.
I spoke about this on my podcast previously. That's life. I mean, I'm trying to get a listing now for a $3 million condo. And the seller is a very wealthy older guy, and his daughter is a full-time nurse, and she has no idea what she's doing. The property's been on the market for over a year, and this guy is so difficult. I tried to set up a Zoom meeting. I called him 10 minutes before the Zoom appointment because he's out of the state. He answers the phone all sleepy, like he told me he didn't sleep all night. I didn't believe him. Honestly, I didn't believe him, but what was I going to do? You don't call someone out in that predicament. You just have to, and I'm such a blunt person where like I was
ego came in the way a little bit.
I was aching. No, I didn't do it. I was aching to be like, why are you BSing me? But I didn't know for a fact. Maybe he didn't sleep, whatever it is. But I'm not going to, that wouldn't get me anywhere, right? I need to just suck it up, continue to follow up.
Put the ego aside.
Exactly.
Continue to provide value.
Continue to keep in touch. And eventually the idea is to get the business.
Happened to me right now, man. Like, I'm a little upset. I had an opportunity to list a $1.6 million home in Miami Beach, a fixer-upper. Knew the guy. I'm working with him. He's a buyer. His mom and all the siblings have shares in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost the deal because a pregnant part-time realtor who was cousins with one of the sons got the listing, and not me, who's a full-time realtor.
That's what we're in, bro. That's the game we're playing. But dude, you think that pregnant? No, may she have a wonderful
No, listen, but she's not a real estate agent.
Exactly, but that's the game we're playing, bro. We're in a game of constant rejection, constant disappointment, but the upside is limitless. So,
I just think the state of Florida needs to make the test or the qualifications a little bit different.
I agree with you.
In Canada, it's a college course to be a real estate agent.
Really?
It's not like a rinky-dinky Gold Coast 60 hours.
Oh, you have to go through a real thing?
Yeah, you go to college for 2 years to become a real estate agent.
That's how it should be here.
Dude, it's like
should be.
this. Becoming a real estate
That's
agent
how it should be.
is like
It's very stupid. It's honestly very stupid.
opening a Facebook account.
It's very stupid. It's very stupid that becoming a realtor is as easy as it is in America. I didn't know it was that difficult in Canada. It should definitely be harder. And anyone who's listening to this is like, oh, no, I don't want it to be harder. When you get into the business, you will. Okay? And I'm glad that it was easier.
One of the reasons I want it to be harder is fucking Joey Schmo. He doesn't
100%.
doesn't have, you know, he
100%.
lists his grandma's $3 million house, has no idea what the business is. Imagine it's like that easy to become an accountant or an attorney.
It also
like,
dumbs it down. It makes it seem less valuable. Like if we're getting paid 2 to 3% of millions of dollars, we need to have more. We need to be better at it. Like we need to hold ourselves to higher standards. Like people are giving us thousands, sometimes millions of dollars to sell something. I mean, we need to be more competent. Like it just these realtors don't give two fucks. It really aggravates me how you'll have a listing agent who sells, you know, $1.5 million property and takes pictures with his cell phone or her cell phone and puts it on the MLS, and the seller has no idea. And I cold call and I see, like, let's say it's like expired, but sometimes it's accident. Like sometimes it's a mistake and it's still listed, but it shows expired. And I go and I say, oh well, the seller will say, oh no, I still have it with my agent. And I said, okay, but it says expired on my sheet here. And they're like, oh no, it's still for sale. And I go and I see it says expired for some reason. You know, clearly it expired. But I look at the pictures and like the pictures are dark. They're clearly taken with a cell phone. And I
with the Sony Ericssons from 2006.
I talk to the seller and I'm like, I just want to make something clear to you. Do you realize that your agent is getting, if this closes, an enormous amount of money, and they aren't even willing to pay for professional photography? Like, isn't that something? And it's happened very rarely because most of the time, agents who have that kind of listing are using professional photos. But you do have instances where you have these realtors that are just trying to get away with it. And it's like, you were fortunate enough to get that sort of business. You have a reputation. It's not even about the agent, the agent-client relationship. But other agents are seeing your listing. Other agents are hopefully going to do business with you, right? People like these agents some agents are thinking that when you're working a transaction, you're battling the other agent. I'm always trying to work with the other agent.
Cooperation.
You want to cooperate with the other agent because you want the transaction to close. Cooperate with them. Yeah, if they're dicks, then yeah. I mean, if you want to be a dickhead, then yeah, I'm going to be a dickhead. What are we going to do? Like, if you're going to come off as an asshole, I'll try to build the bridge. I'll try to be friendly and understand why they're being assholes and say, listen, I don't know what you're being argument. Honestly, I really haven't had that. I'm very fortunate that the agents I've worked with so far, I haven't done that many transactions yet. So I know it'll happen where I'll deal with some dickheads, but so far they've been good, and we've been able to work together. Like, that's what I say to them. So I do think with agents who aren't very nice, you need to come off strongly. I think that's really what it is. With certain agents, they see you're soft, they're going to step on you. So you need to, as long as you know your stuff, like even somebody like me, because I still have a lot to learn, it's easier for some of these agents, if they're assholes, but they really know the business, to get one over on me because they know more than I do. But once I'm in the business for 10 years and they're most of the everyday transactional things that I need to know, I know, it's going to be very hard for these agents to get one on me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when you're new, you just have to, if you smell something's off, you go to another more experienced agent and you say, yo, what's up with this? Like, is this agent trying to pull something on me? Like, what are they trying to do? Right. And then from now on what's going on. And going forward, you just learned what not to do or what to do.
Of course.
So that's the thing.
I've had one maybe negative instance where I felt like the guy was trying to like take advantage of the inspection period or like
polishing this bottle off, bro. I'm pretty much done.
Enjoy, man. Drink. Wine's good, right?
Oh, dude, it's amazing. It's one of the best bottles I've ever had.
Well, I wouldn't bring bullshit to your house, my friend.
My man. That's
For anyone watching, I think wine's like a history in a bottle, man. Every bottle, has its own region, its own terroir.
I don't know how people don't appreciate good wine. It's so good.
It's very good, and especially when you have the right food with it, or the right cheese.
Especially when you're with the right people too.
Yeah. Cheers to a lot of business,
Cheers, bro.
Cheers to buyers getting their offers accepted.
Cheers to happy clients.
Sellers getting top dollar for their properties.
Yes.
Listen, everyone needs to get attention, and if you guys are in South Florida,
you get plenty of attention, you stud.
Whether you hit up myself or Rafael, just know that you'll be treated with the utmost respect, professionalism. You'll have the most integrity. Will bring you the most value.
Absolutely. I might not be convincing while I smoke my vape, but it is absolutely true. That's why I love this business, man. I say it all the time. It's like I of course I love the check, but when I see my clients happy, it's amazing. It really is, man. It's an amazing feeling.
And it's a story. It's a milestone, right? You sell someone. All these buyers we're collecting, and they're gonna eventually be sellers. Like. Mm-hmm. It's inevitable for successful people to always climb. Mm-hmm. If I sell you a 2-bedroom condo right now, and you meet a woman or you meet a guy, and you guys get together and you get pregnant, and then you need all of a sudden a townhome 3 years later, what do you think? I'm not going to list your condo that I sold you and then sell you the townhome? Of course I am. And then you're going to have 2-3 kids. You'll need a 3-4 bedroom home now, a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom home. What, you don't think I'm going to list your townhome and then your grandma wants to buy and your neighbor likes me? And that's the real estate. It could be the biggest chain effect you'll ever have in your life if you're very consistent. Like Rafael said, you're honest. And
since when do you call me Rafael?
It just came out, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Rafi. And by the way, my sister's name is Rafaela. So
I know, yeah.
The name Rafi is dear to me.
I know, dude. It's both are very nice names. But yeah, dude, Raphael's so official, bro. You don't have to call me Raphael, bro. It's not. Yeah. It's only on my real estate signs. And
of course.
Yeah, nobody calls me that though. I literally corrected the buyer's agent on the listing I have now. She called me Raphael because she sees it on the MLS and on the sign. I'm like, call me Rafi. Just because it's more personal. Like nobody calls me that.
Of course, the only time you'll be called Raphael is maybe,
I mean, if I'm on a panel, if I'm speaking in front of 3,000 people at a real estate event, then yeah, sure, we can call me Raphael if you feel like it. But
with time, it'll happen, my friend.
Dude, it 100% will happen. I love public speaking. I'm built for it. I just need the credibility.
I love it too. I think it starts with what you're doing with podcasts. I hope to see some big dogs when hopefully you have a studio coming up. Mm-hmm. And
I've had big dogs. We just gotta push the numbers and keep going. But like anything else, man, the consistency is everything.
Tell me, what are some like? I just want to know what are some real. Obviously, you inspire yourself, but there's definitely real estate agents in our market who inspire. Like, I'll tell you mine, but I want to hear who are some that really inspire you.
I don't know. I know that some of the agents that are very big didn't grow up poor, so it's a little bit, as much as I totally respect their work ethic, I immensely respect their work ethic, I'm much more attracted to a realtor that grew up really from the dumps. Yeah. But at the same time, I still totally honor their grind. So, the guys that I definitely know of, or the women I know of, I mean, Dina Golden-Terra comes to mind.
Yeah,
I don't think
awesome.
she grew up poor by any means, but at the end of the day, she's a fucking hustler. Alex Goldstein, although he wants to come on my podcast, but he keeps kind of playing around. He's just like, oh, I'm important. I don't mind. I'm totally down for him to hear this. He should hear this. And I'll get him on at some point, but I'm just gonna keep doing my episodes. When he's ready, he'll join me. I think, quite frankly, it's more of for him, it's more of a numbers thing. If I was getting a ton of views, he'd come on in a second. And he's still down to come on, but I've had people that are a lot more, that are, quite frankly, he's not a famous guy. He's a very well-known realtor in Florida. He's one of the top guys. But in the grand scheme of things, in the world of popularity, I've had much more popular people. Everyone's different. Some people want to connect. I've had Dave Meltzer, who's a very, very well-known person, who came on with no questions asked. So I don't have any issue with it. I'm hounding Adam Sosnick from Valuetainment literally messaging this guy like an animal. He's probably sick of me by now. I don't give a shit though. Like I even told him this. I even like voice noted him on DM. I said, dude, you're probably tired of seeing my messages, but like one thing you and I both know is that you know who I am at this point. He knows me. When he sees me DM him, I'm serious, bro. I don't give a shit. Like the funny thing is like the thing that's interesting is if it's a woman that I'm trying to interview, I just won't do that because it's just different when you're trying to conversate with it. Like I just don't want to be that guy that's bombarding any female like that in any kind of way because you just can't do that sort of thing. But with a guy, like I'm a straight dude. Like there's no kind of ulterior motive here. It's strictly business. It's strictly connecting to have conversation and all that. So if he thinks I'm like
everyone wants to steal everyone's
so if he
attention
thinks like, oh well, wow, this guy's really chasing after me. Wow, he really thinks I'm important. If it makes him feel good, any of them, if they makes them feel good that they're a big deal, that they're important, so be it. At the end of the day, if I accomplish my goal of meeting them and interviewing them, great. At the end of the day, once they meet me, they'll be very glad they did. So it's fine. What was I going to say? Yeah. So for instance, with Alex, I know he sees my stories very often, right? So there's definitely that. But yeah, at some point he'll join me, and if he doesn't, that's quite frankly his loss. You heard me, my man. And that's the end of it, dude. Like my goal on the real estate end is to interview every single big realtor that we know, right? We can go through the whole list, but every single mega agent that is in South Florida, I'll have on. It might happen now, it might happen in 2 years from now, but they're all going to come on.
Awesome. Yeah.
They will, because they just will. They absolutely will. And I just know that from my personality, and I know that from who I've already had on so far, that it's inevitable. It's only a matter of time. So those are my points, my 2 cents.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
I love it. He's not in our market, but I really do like Ryan Serhant. He did start from the bottom.
I'd love to meet him. I'd love to meet that guy.
He started as a failing actor. I read both of his books.
You know what we could do? You know what I should do? For everybody listening to this, what I want to do is I want to make a post, some sort of post that I want to have Ryan as on my channel, and have a bunch of people I know tag Ryan on my post. I saw somebody do this and it worked. I saw this guy, Dan O'Neill. He's a realtor in Long Island. He has a team. He's one of the bigger realtors in Long Island. And he made a post that he wanted to interview Ryan, and he had like a ton of people just tagging Ryan, and Ryan wrote, "You got my attention." That's it.
You should do it, man.
That's it. So
what's the worst that can happen?
Nothing. This is, by the way, this is what I tell people all the time, like friends of mine that I've been friends with for a very long time. When you have a hunch, when your heart is telling you to go do something, and there's another part of you that you
everything except drinking and driving.
Right. But like when you have these thoughts, right? For instance, with Adam Sosnick, right? Most people will be like, I don't want to bother him. He might be busy. I don't give a fuck.
I don't think no one knows who he is.
I'm saying
he's a guy that works with PBD.
Right? Like people know him. He knows he's not world famous by any means. I think he knows who he is. But at the end of the day, like, I don't give a fuck. Like I said, like what is, so he thinks something? Okay. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, am I harming anybody? No. It's just, that's what hinders so many people is like
people are worried what people think about them.
They give so much of a shit, dude. It's such a hindrance, man. Like it's such a I really wish people realized how much it hurts them when they're constantly worrying about what people think. People, 99.9999% of people don't give a shit what Rafi Pinsky does from day to day. Are there people who are inspired by what I do? I'm sure there are, and I'm very proud and I'm very grateful that there are people like that, and I hope to always inspire them. But quite frankly, man, people have their own lives. Do you think Adam Sosnick gives two shits what I do every day? No, he doesn't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, quite frankly, I don't care that much about what he does day to day. I wish him the best, but like, I still want to connect with the guy. I like what he talks about. I listen to some of his podcasts. I think he's an intelligent guy. I obviously want to get in touch with Patrick, and that's it. You know, I'm just doing my thing.
What about Jalal? I think he's a great guy too.
I do want to get on Jalal. I do want to get Jalal on, and I actually haven't touched base with him enough. But when I met with Nancy, with Kobe's wife, when you were there, Jalal said he would come on. he one of my ears went deaf because he yelled at me. You know, no, I'm kidding. You know how he was like really loud.
Of course.
Yeah. So no, but he said he would come on, but we'll see what happens.
You know, I don't have a crystal ball, Rafi, but I know I can see where you have like your own office / studio. Like you're still working for a big company, whether you continue with Keller Williams on a big path and become a huge Keller Williams agent, by all means, give you that blessing. But I just see like your own private office / studio, where you have these late night like podcasts similar to like Fallon, you know, what's his name? Jimmy Fallon.
By the way, I think about that sometimes. I do, totally.
With like crazy things, you know, like
not just with mics, because you're saying this because I thought about this, like literally having random games and like wearing weird costumes and having like certain musicians that I like playing. You know how you have like Fallon, I'll have like a random band playing in the background. I love stuff like that because most of my life I've had these funny interactions with my close friend circle, and now I'm able to expand everywhere. And my goal isn't to become famous, dude. I don't care about fame. The reason why I want to put my name out there is because at the end of the day, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. It's not all about the money, but it's we're in a world where you're able to
you know is what's gonna help you. Right?
Yeah, man. Like
that's why I love to network. Put me in front of anyone.
This is what I'm doing. Like it's just
I'll go to a ballerina convention, a cigar convention.
You would do great at ballerina, Steve.
Take me anywhere, guys. Invite me. If there's
you have very strong toes.
If there's I don't know. A robotics convention? You think I know anything about it?
I would definitely go to a robotics convention.
These people are buyers, man. Everyone's a buyer. Everyone's an investor, you know?
I'll see you at the vault.
Of course. Take me anywhere. Listen, I love real estate conventions because I want to know what people are in our industry are doing. But the likelihood of me meeting other business there in that convention with a bunch of other realtors is slim to nothing, right? But I want to go where people are still... Everyone needs to live somewhere, guys. Even if you're renting, you're going to be a buyer eventually, you know, assuming you're going to continue on the path of credit, tax, saving money, buying. Everyone knows someone who owns real estate who eventually will want to sell, who will, if I come to mind, will refer me. So when you go to conventions, conferences, and events where the people are doing crazy things like crypto and drop shipping and Amazon and all these things, just be the guy that stands out and says, hey, I'm a real estate agent. You know, I know you're successful. If you ever want to buy
brings me back to something, by the way. No, go on. I'm sorry.
If you ever want to buy a primary or investment property, I'm here, man. There's a lot of awesome pre-construction and a booming market. We have a lot of cranes going up in Miami.
Everywhere, bro. This whole place. It reminds me of Israel. Like if you go to Israel, you see like they're constantly building. It reminds me of what I had. I was in Aaron's coaching. You know, I'm in his coaching every Wednesday. And he was talking to one of the girls in the group, and she's a shyer girl. Like she's a newer agent. She's shy. Like you could just kind of tell. And he said, I think your difficulty is that you're afraid to ask for business. You're afraid to ask for things. In the business of sales, really in anything you do in life, you need to understand the skill of asking for things. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing that. I didn't for a while, but you have to understand how to, like, when you are at a networking event, ask for business. Tell people you're a realtor. Ask for the business. Like, go in.
Just like vegans and you know,
man. Like, go in for it.
Vegans will tell you they're vegan, right?
Go take what's yours, man. Like this, it's just like this is what comes full circle in terms of being a lion, man. I mean, we're in the world. The world is a difficult place. It's going to be difficult no matter how you spin it.
It's going to get more intense. We're going to die
one day, bro. Like, we're going to die one day. Time passes anywhere. You're going to live your life picking up scraps, or you're going to live your life going after it and hunting for what you want, going after what you want. I mean, I want to be I want to be in a chair just like this when I'm 83 years old, where I have 30 incredible grandchildren and some great grandchildren, and everybody's sitting there, and I live in a great house, and everybody's eating and happy, and my grandchildren are sitting on the floor or wherever they're sitting, and they're asking me about all my life stories, and I get to proudly tell them about all the things that I wanted to do and I fucking did. And I'm not that grandfather that's like, well, you know, I really wanted to go to the army and I didn't do it. Or, I really wanted to get into sales, but I didn't. I really wanted to make a lot of money, but I didn't. I really wanted to marry that girl, but I didn't. I really this, I really that, but I just didn't do it. Fuck it.
Yeah, man. That's why people are like, don't you get tired of traveling? No, I don't. Right. I'm criticized all the time for having the travel bug, but I will regret all the things I haven't done than all the things I've done. So, there's people that are spending thousands of dollars at nightclubs that don't remember what they did.
I think that's by the way, completely stupid thing to do. If you close a massive deal, first of all, I lost interest in clubs altogether years ago. Too. But yeah, I mean, listen, whatever people are happy with, let them be.
It's an ego thing, right?
Yeah, but it's like if you're gonna drop $3,000 on a table at a club, and you could instead go to Brazil or some other beautiful country and drop 3 G's there and have the time of your life and really explore, not just sit in a hotel on the beach, but explore the land, go on hikes, do the activities, meet the people. Like, you'll remember that
10
forever.
times, tenfold.
You're going to wake up hungover the next day. The end goal, let's be real, for most guys, if they're going to clubs and dropping $3,000 is to get laid. You need to spend $3,000 to do that? Like, that's another question you have to ask yourself.
You can go on a website.
But it's just like, it's just so, yeah, I'm like, I don't care to really go into the whole judgment of it, but it's like, if you're going to drop that kind of money, do it in something more valuable. I don't really understand the purpose of it. But yeah, hey, listen, a lot of people like to pop bottles. They like it. They enjoy it. If I make, $1 million on a real estate deal and a bunch of my buddies want to go out to the club and pop bottles, yeah, maybe I'll do it. Do I care for it necessarily? No. I'd much rather use the money towards travel. Quite frankly, I'd much rather use the money towards investment. I'd rather take that $3,000 I would have spent on some table. Traveling's a great use of the money, but if I'm going to use that money on bottles that I could have bought for 1,000th of the price, use it towards a flip. Use it towards marketing. Use it for new equipment. I mean, like, you don't know how much I'm aching for a new studio. I can't wait to have a real fat, gorgeous studio set up. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that, buddy.
Yeah, dude. To have somebody like a Jamie on Joe Rogan, just kind of sitting there and making sure that everything's good during production, not just post production, but like everything's, like he can add some things in there during and do all that. But yeah, man, this is a hell of a long podcast, and I had an amazing time. But I want to wrap it up because it's already getting kind of long. So, dude, thank you so much. Thank you for coming, Steve. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm glad we talked about similar things and similar mindsets, and I'm sure that Bezrat Hashem, God willing, for all the non-Hebrew speakers, we'll do business together. Like, you'll have a listing and I'll have a buyer, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Or, who knows, we'll co-list something together. Mm-hmm. Pretty much the same neck of the woods, Nick. I do a lot of business in Hollywood, Hallandale, Ventura, Sunny Isles. I mean, I do dabble a lot in Miami, as you can tell, but I know we'll cross paths in business, not only personal.
Absolutely, bro. Sure.
And I know I'll learn from you. You learn from me. It's just a mutual thing, man. There's no competition in this business. There's enough business, enough meat for everyone.
There's enough business for everybody, because most realtors barely do anything. That's the truth. For everyone who is not a realtor, most realtors don't work very hard, especially here in South Florida. Maybe in New York it's different, but in Florida, many of them are very lazy. They know how to put on a good act. They know how to make their Instagram look very sexy, especially very good-looking women. But if you look through their page, you notice that most of the pictures they're posting are just pictures. They're just pictures of properties.
Pictures are like pre-developments that they sold zero in.
Of other people's listings. This is something Aaron made very clear, but I also know this. It's very important to have a good social media presence, but actually do the fucking work.
Exactly, man. Cheers to doing the fucking work, guys.
Absolutely. Cheers. Three cheers in the span of 3 minutes.
Well, guys, I'm Russian Jew, man. We do a lot of cheersing.
I agree. So, dude, I just realized my angling is a little off on the chairs, but so be it. That's what happens when you podcast long enough. You notice these little nuances. Guys, thank you for watching. Hope you made it till the end. Subscribe, like, and share. I'm going to attach your Instagram. Make sure to check out Steven Kupchan on Instagram.
Top Miami agent.
Absolutely. Top Miami agent is your thing, right? Check out his Instagram. Follow him. He's one of my closest friends here in South Florida. So you'll see us a lot together at networking events. I love that picture that we have together where your hand's on my shoulder and you're on the phone.
I love it. I was literally working on a deal then. Did the deal go through? No,
But
I'll
I was
be
like,
honest,
bro,
but
we're taking a picture, and you're like, yo, I gotta just answer this.
I was literally on the phone with a seller's agent negotiating condo at the Trump Royale.
Yeah, bro. So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Smash the like button. Leave your comments, and we will see you next time.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.